In a bid to stop real-world trading, on the 2nd of January 2008, Jagex implemented the removal of unbalanced trades, or as it was later called, the removal of free trade. This meant any trade between two players had to be worth almost exactly the same price according to the Grand Exchange. It also effectively ended staking, as you could only stake a maximum of 30k every 4 hours. The duel arena was effectively a place to have fun battles, and I found this clip where a guy trash talks everyone and someone tries to stake him 10 whole k and he says no stake. Finally, to stop players PKing each other to exchange wealth and beat the trade limits, after PKing someone you would no longer receive any of their valuable items except in extremely rare cases, and you would instead receive ancient statuettes based on how much wealth you had gained or lost PKing recently. Understandably, people were extremely unhappy about the update and there was a lot of anger towards Jagex, with people questioning why they couldn't beat real world trading without the removal of content. But we are a resourceful bunch, and before the trade limits even went live, people set out to try and beat the restrictions. Such was the demand for it, many of these videos got hundreds of thousands of views and can still be viewed today. The biggest trade difference allowed was through the GE, which would have a med or market price, and you could go up 5% higher or 5% lower than the median price. And people quickly realised that it was potentially the way to get around the trade restrictions. In the first attempts to beat the limits, people would buy from shops an item that cost a lot less than it was on the GE. Then they would show them trading it with another account for a profit, since the GE was a higher price than the shop. However, that was flawed, as you might as well just do that on one account and sell the items on the GE for exactly the same profit. But this is the first example I can find where someone actually figured out how to beat the system. They bought an item crashing in price off the Grand Exchange for minimum, which was 5% cheaper than the median price and the price you traded other players for. So when they sold the item that they had bought for the minimum price off the GE to another account for median price, they effectively transferred 5% of the item's value to another account. Unfortunately, this method was very expensive because a crashing item may still fall 10 to 20% in price to allow you to transfer the 5%, meaning you lost a lot of GP. But it now meant people knew they could manipulate the GE. The next thing that people figured out was the GE price updated every single day, and the new med price was always the average price the item sold for the previous day. So if a bunch of people left offers in for the max price every single day, that item's price would increase by 5% every single day. That created hundreds of merch clans who would pick an item to rise in price and get as many people to help raise it as possible, but there were some important rules when picking an item, and this tripped up many clans that didn't understand. Firstly, there couldn't be too many of the merch item in the game. If you picked an item that was too common, the clan would quickly run out of money, meaning the item was no longer being bought out for the max price, and then the item would instead crash in price. Secondly, it couldn't be too easy to obtain. If you were going to rise an item's price for a long time, people were going to take notice and farm that item if it is easy to acquire. Finally, there had to be enough in the game for everyone to make a profit. And also, if an item had a low quantity sale through the GE, sometimes the price would only update every few days, meaning the price would stay the same most days and a merge would take far longer to do. Once the item was picked, it was announced to the clan and everyone would put an offer in the GE, and over the coming weeks they would get more and more as the price went up and up. Unfortunately, some clans failed at this, and buying power was also key. This item was merged by two different clans and reached two very different prices. And of course, it wouldn't be RuneScape without some people willing to scam, and sadly a lot of people tried to create merge clans as a way of dumping their items on unsuspecting players after they had risen in price. This one YouTube video alone was used by the same person at least 6 times that I found, with a different date and a different clan name, where he would set up a clan just to dump the item on members. Understandably, this resulted in a ton of hate towards merge clans, and most of it was justified. and that resulted in people who used merge clans dumping on the clan instead because of fear of it happening to them. So with a complete mistrust from both parties, you would wonder why merge clans still existed. Well, the truth is the top merge clans did exactly what they said, and items would generally go anywhere from 2 to 5 times the starting price. To add to this, they needed each other. Generally, the clan would have most of the GP needed to raise the price of an item, and the members would cover the other problem merging this way ran into, and that was buying limits. It didn't matter if you had all of the money in RuneScape. If the buy limit every 4 hours was 10,000, that's the maximum any one player could buy in that period. So if 100,000 sold in the GE every 4 hours, then you needed a minimum of 10 people buying that item or it would crash in price. And with every single day of the merge that passed, the price of the item became more and more expensive to buy, and every single person that ran out of money meant the rest buying had to pay even more the next day. It didn't even matter what the target price was, the dynamics made it impossible to reach. As you got closer and closer to the target price, members didn't just stop buying, they also started dumping on the clan. People believe that leaders and rank dumped on them, but in a very large clan that would have been crazy. The ranks would generally have 5 to 10 billion of an item near the end of a merge, and every day the merge continued, that meant an extra 250 to 500 million profit per day between them, far more than the value of all of the offers in the GE. And that left the only one difficult part of merging, and as the saying goes, what goes up must come down, and that has never been more true. The merge item would crash on the GE, and every day you had the item, in the same way it went up 5%, it was now going down 5%. The item would not sell on the GE, and it was 5 times the price, so no one wanted it, so you had to do something called junk trading to sell it. Because of the maximum 5% an item could go up or down, it meant some items that were in demand had a street price of over the 5%. So in order to trade an item for the street price, the seller would put the item in a trade, the buyer would put the street cash price, and to make up the difference between the street price and the GE price, the seller would then add what was known as junk, which was any item that wouldn't sell for the minimum price on the GE. As well as flipping popular items to get rid of junk, there were also some items which were a merge clan's best friend. These were mainly discontinued items whose street value was massively higher than the GE price. And mint cake was a popular item from the known cooking minigame, and due to its difficulty to obtain, it became the low value item to get rid of junk. The item itself was only worth 60k on the GE, but it was always bought out and the street price of them was around 5 million. Then you had the Santa hat, which was worth around 100 million at the time. Halloween mask sold between 150 and 250 million. The Disc of Returning was around 300 million and the pumpkin 400 million. Finally, the best of them all, party hats, with the purple being the cheapest at around 900 million and the blue pea hat going for 4.5 billion GP. Some people understood what merge clans were and what they did, and I was one of them. As you may have gathered, I know a lot about this because I was part of one of the larger clans. I never set out to be, I just made money with a very good clan and was very good at junk merging. I made some very good friends and we helped a lot of people in the CC, telling them what to do and how to junk trade at the end. The owner decided to rank the 3 of us and then one day dropped an absolute bombshell, quit the game and left the clan to us mid-merge. It was different for us. We didn't want to make bank, we were just happy making some money in a CC with friends, so we carried it on. We could have made 10 billion each, but instead we looked after the ranks, often buying their items at the end of a merge and junk trading for them, even though this ate into almost all of our profits each, but it was never about that for us. Some clans would scam, there was hate messages everywhere, no one trusted anyone, and some clans would even create bots to go into other clans' channels and PM the people in there to try to steal their members. The whole era was completely toxic, but in the middle of it was a clan where everyone made good money from it, having fun with a group of friends. We even did community events. This was one we did at the fight pits. The rules were simple. Everyone went into a massive battle and the winner was the last man standing. We invited everyone to take part and we completely filled one world. The winner would get a yellow P-hat that was worth 455 million on the GE, but had a street price of 1.4 billion. This was the guy who won it, who was in a clan called Wicked Fury at the time, which was one of the best PKing clans. The three of us then found an item that beat the restricted trade system. The item that didn't just get around the system, it completely smashed it into pieces. And this item was Dragon Darts. Because the only thing that you needed to make Dragon Darts is dart tips and feathers, Dragon Darts and Dragon Dart tips are almost identical items, but with one major difference. You could also get Dragon Darts as a drop by themselves, so more darts than tips were sold on the GE. This meant the price of Dragon Darts updated every single day, but the price of dart tips only updated every other day. By the end of our merge, the price of darts were almost double the price of dart tips, meaning you could transfer billions of GP simply by selling dart tips to another player and getting them to craft Dragon Darts. We genuinely let the ranks make all the money in our clan, apart from on this occasion when we sold those dart tips for party hats and the three of us ended up with a white party hat each. I don't know how much this influenced the decision to remove free trade, but everyone now knew how to do it. Within a month, on the 21st of December 2010, Jagex polled the players on the removal of restricted trade. Within 24 hours, they had received over 1 million votes, with 91% voting in favour of the removal, and ending the worst mistake in RuneScape's history. There was a massive demand for merge clans then, and there is even to this day. I even found someone who replied to a 12-year-old merch advert 11 years too late. But whether you loved or hated merch clans, whenever you bring a group of people together, it's no longer about merching, clans, or even RuneScape. It's about a group of friends.